Okay, we're live. I am attorney Vincent Davis, and this is The Secret, How to Fight CPS and Win. And I'm joined tonight by one of my guest hosts, Miss Cassandra Woodard. Hello, Cassandra. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Doing good. And you see we have a guest. Is it Miss Sonia Blackbear?
Yes.
Good evening, ma'am. How are you?
Good. How are you?
What state are you coming to us from?
I'm in South Dakota.
South Dakota. Okay.
Yes.
Let's see. And I guess you have some type of CPS connection?
I do.
Okay. Before we start, I hope you don't mind. Are you American Indian?
I am. Yes.
I could tell from the last name and from the location. So here's a funny story. During law school, I worked for a professor who was also a North Dakota um, attorney, and who wrote for a law journal there in North Dakota at the time. And we ended up having to go to a couple reservations on a couple different occasions. And I didn't realize there was such a large American Indian population in the Dakotas.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so why don't you start by telling us your story and how you're involved with CPS?
Okay. I'm a grandmother of 6. I'm trying to get out of CPS. I guess my journey started in June of this year. I went out of town, took my son back to where he lived. My other son was babysitting. And when we came home, my daughter was intoxicated and took her 3 daughters out of my home. And I had gotten them custody through tribes, 2 different tribes for 6 kids. And so I had a order of good faith here in Rapid City, and I had presented that to the police officer when I did call the police. And he said it didn't have the children's names on it, so I had to go back to the judge. So I went back to the judge, and he ordered that they take them from my daughter and place them back with me. And I thought that was going to happen. It didn't happen that way. My daughter and my grandchildren had said that I abused them. So they didn't return them to me. And they didn't leave them with her because she was intoxicated. And so they went into CPS custody. Well, about 3 months later, they came and removed the other 3 children that I had through a different tribe. And their thing there was that I was manufacturing and using methamphetamine, which none of that was true. I asked them for a drug test that same day. They said they couldn't give me one. I paid for one myself, and I took a drug test that day, and everything was negative. Well, when we did go to court, the judge had asked the state DSS what they were going to do, and they said they wanted to return the kids to me. Well, the judge terminated one of my son's child about 6 months prior. And she put the DSS worker on the stand, and he had told them that he wanted to return them to me. They did the background check and everything was fine. And she started yelling at him. She's like, "Oh no, you can't do that. You can't return these kids to her because her son is dangerous." I terminated him, and he was yelling and went out of the courtroom. And the police escorted him out to the parking lot where he left. Well, that had nothing to do with me. My son doesn't live in my home, and he's an adult. He does his own thing. And so I didn't think that was right at all. So I made a complaint with the head judge here. I got a letter back and stating that he could not do anything because she was the presiding judge and he couldn't change any of her rulings. And I wasn't asking him to change a ruling. I was just wanting him to know what she was doing in her courtroom. So I notified the Judicial Commission. I wrote to them and I told them what she was doing. Well, they haven't written me back. I just got a letter saying that they would, in due time, they would look at my complaint. And that was September 20th I did that. And I haven't gotten anything back since. Well, my older grandchildren, they're twins, they're 14. They were in a foster home with a 12-year-old, my other grandchild, and they had 8 different placements in 2 months. And at each placement, they were telling me things that were happening. One of their foster fathers walked in on her, when the 12-year-old, when she was using the bathroom, and whispered in her ear, "What are you doing?" And I had complained on that. Nothing was done. And then one of the 14-year-old twins sent her cousin a picture of her in bed with a boy. And I told him, I said, this is really inappropriate. They're not having any type of supervision or anything like that. And I told the caseworker. She came back and told me that she talked to the stepmother, and they were educating my grandchildren like they would in school to sex education. And I said, really? I said, I don't think sex education is hands-on. She's in bed with a boy, and it shouldn't be like that. And from there, my visits were canceled because I used my cell phone to take pictures of my grandkids. So they canceled my visitation, and I complained. I told somebody today, she gave me a call back, and she said I wasn't following visitation guidelines because I used my cell phone. Well, the caseworker on one of the visit was over. I was going by the observation room. She stood in front of me, just blocked my way, and just gave me a really dirty look, staring at me up and down. And I was, what? And then her supervisor said, you need to stop. So I just looked at her and I walked around her, and she said, well, I'll walk you out. So I complained on that, and they said I complained too much. But these are my grandkids. I feel like I need to complain to get heard, So I feel like I'm being discriminated against. Their father had went to visit them, same time I would visit. And he was sending me pictures of their visit. And he was using the cell phone to send pictures to me of the visit. And then my daughter went to go visit her daughter, one of my grandkids, and she was also sending me pictures on her cell phone. So I told him, I said, I think you guys are discriminating against me. Is it only me that you guys are doing this to? And she's like, well, we can't discuss anybody else's case. We can't discuss that with you. I said, I'm not asking you to discuss nothing with me. I just am telling you, but I'm discriminated against. And I don't know where to go, where to turn, because I'm not being taken serious. Or most Native Americans are quiet. They're quiet, and they they're just not verbal like I am. I'm very verbal, and I will tell them what is wrong. And I guess they don't like it. If I said yes and signed everything they wanted me to, I believe I would have my grandkids back now. But I'm refusing to sign anything. I told them I won't put my name on lies because I know you guys are lying. And they had said I party with my kids. I do drugs with my kids. I drink every day. And in my home, we're constantly partying. Police are constantly at my house. All of that is not true. I took a evaluation, alcohol and drug evaluation, and they're not ordering any other services. They wanted a mental health evaluation. I haven't signed anything, but on my own, I went to do that too. And I'm not required to do any more follow-up appointments or anything like that. I told them I believe you guys are just using me as an example because I have passed all these tests that you guys wanted me to do. First, they were saying that my grandkids are being raped in my home, and police calls every day. So I told them I wanted doctor statements saying that these kids were, like you said, raped in my home. Nothing was that provided. And the police calls, I wanted 365 police reports, and they brought 2. And I told them that I did call the police to protect my home, protect me, and protect my grandchildren. Asking somebody to leave if they're drinking. I don't want them in my home. And now my court's pushed out till February 10th. And it's just a nonstop, like argument between me and my caseworker. And it's about little things. They said I whispered to my granddaughter in a visit. No, she whispered to me. She's like, Nana, she said, my private's hurt. So I was like, what? I said, what happened? And she's like, my pants are too tight. And she kept pulling at her crotch. So after the visit, I told her, I said, I think my granddaughter's pants are too tight and she needs bigger pants. And then the caseworker came back and said, you don't tell your granddaughter to give her grandparent or her foster parent messages telling her to buy her clothes. I said, I didn't ask her to buy her clothes. I just said her pants were too tight. And, if provided, I can take them clothes, I've got clothes at my home here. I can take them clothes, and I offered to, but that wasn't the issue. It was me whispering to my granddaughter. And the incident where she stood in front of me and wouldn't let me go by, my 15-year-old granddaughter was behind us trying to come out of the room. And after we left, she called me. She's like, Mom, are you okay? I said, yeah, I'm fine. She said, I seen what happened. She said, what would they say? So I told her, she said, I seen all of it. I seen everything. And they're admitting that didn't happen. And on another occasion, they were in 3 CPS cars. A worker that first took my grandkids and another worker, they both came in their cars, and they didn't have car seats for my grandbabies. So I told him, you're not taking them without car seats. And he was like, okay, well, we'll call for somebody to bring some. Well, their supervisor showed up about 20 minutes, half hour later with car seats. And they left, and my granddaughter was like, Mom, they're bringing me to Welfully, which is like a juvenile group home. So we went down there to talk to him and see why they're separating them. And he said they wouldn't separate them. So we went down there and we talked to them, and they said they were going to call the police, and they were going to go up to the Department of Social Services. So we were going to follow them up there to make sure that they were going to be okay, because these little girls I got when they were first born, their mother had them in prison. So I went up there and got custody, and I've had them since. Well, the 2 caseworkers left in their cars, and they stopped at the stop sign. Well, I pulled out behind the supervisor, and I was going to go. She kept braking in front of me, trying to make me hit her car. And when we got to the stop sign, these cars, the 2 cars ahead were going in and out of traffic. And then my daughter recorded it. And then when we got there, I told the supervisor, I said, you shouldn't be doing this, letting the people that work for you, giving them permission to do this. And I guess the lady that was driving my grandchildren, my 15-year-old granddaughter was trying to keep the 7-year-old twins like calm. And so she was like, you guys are going to be okay, and this and that. And then the caseworker was like, fuck. Oh, I'm sorry. She was cussing. I'm sorry. She was cussing. And I reported that too. And my granddaughter was scared for her sisters.
Okay, hold on a second.
Mm-hmm.
There's something I got to jump into.
Okay.
Okay. Before I forget. Now, I've typed some notes for what they call in law school issue spotting. Okay. So the first one, it says, you see there at the bottom of the screen,
Mm-hmm.
Read along with me. You must immediately consider filing a complaint with the Department of Health and Human Services in Washington, D.C. It's a federal agency. And your local Department of Justice, another federal agency, Civil Rights Division. Now, when I say that, Have you ever heard me mention that before on any of my shows?
I have.
Okay. So that's what you have to do. Okay.
Okay.
Are you working with an attorney in South Dakota?
I do have an attorney, but she has only met me right before court.
Okay. Well, you need to talk to that attorney. Is she court appointed?
Yes.
Okay. I'm not sure she's going to be versed on these things, but at least talk to her. Okay. Okay. Number 2. We established at the very beginning of the show you're American Indian, and these children must be American Indian, and that
Yes.
you had them placed with you through 2 different tribes.
Mm-hmm.
Has either tribe intervened in this case?
They have intervened, but they can't transfer until my rights are being terminated, and then they would transfer.
Okay, so hold on a second. Did somebody tell you that, or did you get that in a letter in writing?
I had called to
Hold
ICWA.
on. Listen to my question. Did somebody tell you that, or did you see it in writing?
Somebody told me.
Okay, who? Don't say names. Don't say
ICWA
names.
representative
From the tribe or from the court?
from the tribe.
Okay, from both tribes?
Yes.
Because I think that's incorrect. But here's the more important thing. ICWA allows them to intervene. However, it also requires them to apply the ICWA law, not the state law. So do you know if they're applying the federal laws of ICWA or if they're applying the state laws of South Dakota?
I don't know.
Okay, that's another thing you need to talk to your attorney about, because the ICWA laws are far more favorable. And by the way, are these kids placed with an American Indian family?
No.
Okay, so my standard strategy is, 25 names of friends or relatives. Notice I didn't say just relatives.
Yes.
Friends or relatives that could take the kids.
Mm-hmm.
Could, not would. You don't have to call them up and,
Mm-hmm.
give those names and telephone numbers to the social worker via email or to your attorney via email,
Mm-hmm.
so that they can be turned over, because these kids probably aren't placed in a friend or a family's home at the current time. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, so I know you've probably heard me say when the children are placed with a family member or a friend, it's like fighting the case out on probation versus being held in jail.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So if they accuse you of bank robbery and you're out on bail, there's more flexibility that you can help with your defense and win your case than if you're, in custody waiting trial. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so you want to check on that. And the third thing that I thought of, we already talked about it. Is the court using ICWA? You got to find that out. That's a significant difference in the law. I would guess. I don't know South Dakota law, but if you were in California, it'd be significantly different. Okay?
Yeah.
Now, you don't have to write these down, but I am going to tell you what I think you should be doing. And I'm going to tell you as if you were in California. I know you're not, but as if you were in California, so that when you rewatch this video on one of these social media channels where we're taping to, you can talk to your attorney about something that might be the same or similar under South Dakota law. And hopefully by the end of the show, or on one of our earlier shows a few weeks ago, Miss Woodard, Cassandra, posted a link to an internet site that gives you the California law, but then you can look up the related or similar law in your state.
Okay.
Okay. So you need to find that out from Cassandra or find that video. Cassandra, if you do have that link, during the show. Could you post it for us, please? Okay, Cassandra's on mute, so we don't hear her.
I'm not able to post stuff.
Oh,
I'm not
okay.
able to post stuff on the chat. Yeah.
All right. Well, is there any way you can text it to me and maybe I can copy and paste it?
Yeah, I believe it's childwelfare.gov.
Say it again.
Childwelfare.gov, I believe it is.
Childwelfare.gov. Okay. And then they can go to that site and take a look at it. I just posted it for everyone. Okay, Miss Blackberry, we're back to you. All right. So in California, this is what I would do if I were you. Number one, I'd file something. This is probably the strongest thing you can do in California. I'd file something called a presumed parent motion. That will give you all of the rights of a parent in a juvenile dependency case in California. Number two, I'd file a de facto motion to give you standing, but it sounds like you might have standing in the case already. I'm not sure. Number three, I would file what's called a 388 petition to have the children replaced with you. All right. I would also make sure that whatever recommendations they've made in any report, and if they haven't written it down, any recommendations you think they would make, to show the judge that all of their concerns are false. For example, you're a meth user, right? You're taking drug counseling and you're testing clean for drugs, randomly testing.
Yeah.
Okay. So, something like that. Now, here's the other thing that I would do. I would seriously consider talking to a lawyer in your area about bringing a civil rights lawsuit against this agency. Because if what you say is true, they're violating your civil rights all over the place. And, I don't know what things are like in South Dakota. I have been in North Dakota. I haven't been in South Dakota. But if things are like some things that I see here in California and hear about in other places, they're basically going to violate your rights because they dare you, or they don't believe you'll ever have the lawyer or resources to pursue a civil rights lawsuit against them. So they basically going to do what they want to do. They don't care about they don't care about you. But you have to do something. You have to do something. Many years ago, maybe 30 years ago, maybe 35 years ago, an attorney who was a guru in this juvenile dependency CPS law once told me something. He said, Vince, sometimes, judges and social workers will make decisions that are going to go against you and your client. And he said, sometimes you got to do something about it, even if the client can't afford to do it. And I think what you've told me is one of those situations. You have to do something about it, or they're just going to get away with whatever they want. At some point, someone in your state is going to have to stand up. Now, many years, but several years ago before COVID, I was doing the radio show live at KABC Radio. And I used to have a guy that used to call in maybe once a month. He was American Indian, and I forget what state he was from. I think it was one of the Dakotas, but I don't remember actually which one. And for many months, he would email me, keep me posted on what was going on in his particular case. And he was of the opinion that they were going to do whatever they wanted in his case because he was American Indian. And he felt that he was being racially and culturally discriminated against. And he felt that that the agency, the CPS, didn't care about what they were doing to him because they knew that he couldn't do anything about it. Right? Yeah. So I think it's time to take a stand. Are you a member of a tribe?
I am.
So may I suggest Why don't you get your tribe involved?
I haven't thought about that.
Okay, I would talk to them. There
Okay.
must be someone who's in charge of ICWA, charge of cultural affairs, because that's what ICWA is supposed to be doing,
Hmm.
protecting the American Indian culture. And see if they can get involved.
Okay.
Okay. And you know what? I just thought of that, and it's kind of funny that we've never thought about that before. But that's like the most obvious one. You know, use your tribe because
Yeah.
they're supposed to be. I don't know the ins and out of your particular tribe, but most tribes are supposed to be helping their members
Hmm.
in situations just like this, right?
Yeah.
So think of that. Think of that and see if they can do. Does your tribe own any type of gaming or anything
No.
in your state?
No.
It's big out here in California,
Yeah.
real big. Miss Blackberry, did you have any other questions for me? And while she's thinking about that, Miss G, welcome to the show. Miss Cassandra, did either of you have any questions or comments about or for Miss Blackberry? Don't talk all at once.
Yes, I do have a question. When Mr. Davis mentioned your tribe, I didn't hear the last part. Did you notify your tribe? Is that a yes or no?
Yes.
And did they show you any type of help? Like did they give you any type of hope?
They haven't. They informed the courts that they were going to intervene, but they would not transfer jurisdiction until my rights were terminated in the court.
That was exactly what I dealt with today. And on Sunday, actually Saturday, sorry, a couple of people called us and they both had problems with the tribe. And they told them the same thing. And we're talking about one in Oregon and the other one is in Riverside. And they told them that you have to get your rights terminated first before they can step in to
Hmm.
help. That doesn't make any sense to me.
No.
I forgot to mention it to Attorney Davis because I was really busy today, but I do want to mention that to him right now. Is that something that you heard of, Attorney Davis, in your career, 36 years?
Well, I mean, I've heard of it just now from Miss Blackbear, and how each tribe intervenes. It's up to them, right? They're sovereign nations, and
Hmm.
but generally, when I'm involved, the tribe will say, "Well, we'll intervene, but we don't want to take it to the Indian court." Right? And as I'm thinking about it, I think ICWA is like that. They can still intervene in the case right now and make sure that the state court in South Dakota is applying the ICWA laws, but they don't have to transfer the case to the tribal court,
Hmm.
and maybe they don't want to until they're trying to terminate your rights, but they can get involved right now. Now, here's the other thing I want to ask you, and this is why I actually ask you if your tribe was involved in any gaming, or if these tribes were involved in any gaming. It costs money for tribes to intervene. They got to go get a lawyer, all that kind of stuff. They got to spend resources. So sometimes, I don't know this because nobody's ever told me this, but sometimes I get the impression that they don't want to intervene because they can't afford it. I've noticed that a lot of cases over the years here in California where tribes intervene, they had money. They had that gaming money. So, it's like everything else in life in this country. You got to have the resources before you can run out and do something. You were going to say something, Ms. G?
I was told that the tribes have a specific attorney that actually helps them pro bono.
It could be different from tribe to tribe. I know I know a guy who is a member of a tribe in San Diego.
Mhm.
He does not help them pro bono. He helps them, and they pay him very well to intervene in these types of cases around Southern California or to represent the tribe. So I'm surprised that it's pro bono, but it might be pro bono if the tribe's not involved in some type of money making operation outside of just being a tribe like these gaming. Some of these tribes, you know, the members, they get thousands and tens of thousands of dollars a month, right? There's a famous case about child support out of I guess it's Riverside County, the Morongo tribe. And at that time, in this case, it was discovered because it ended up being an appellate decision. One of the parents was receiving $30,000 a month from the tribe because of the gaming in the casino, and that was probably 20 years ago.
Mm.
So I mean, it's a lot of money. The friend that I told you about that I know, he belongs to a tribe in San Diego, and I want to say he gets like 8 or 9 thousand a month, but they also pay for his living expenses and per diems for this and that. I mean, it totaled a lot of money. Miss Woodard, you have your hand raised. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna ask her. So is there 3 different tribes involved in this? If your tribe is involved?
Two.
Two?
Yes.
Okay. I was thinking that there's 2 for each kid, and then your tribe, or is it the same tribe as one of the kids?
I'm from the same tribe as 3 of the kids, and the other 3 are from a different tribe.
Okay. Because at first I was thinking it was 3 different ones. I'm like, gosh, nobody's intervening yet. Like, because I know, like, my grandma had problems because my grandma, she's not in a tribe. She's not Native American. But my cousin and his kids were Native American because it was a big thing, and they had trouble with CPS at one point. And I know that eventually the tribe intervened, and that was here in California. It was a tribe here in Central California. But also, they also do have a casino, and they do have gaming, and so I'm sure that made a big difference too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ms. G, you were going to say something?
Yeah. What I've noticed happening recently is that the tribes don't want to get involved. We have also one of the callers today told me that her case is in San Bernardino County, and the tribe went to court, that they were standing behind the court appointed attorney, and the tribe told her that we cannot talk, we cannot speak, but they can be present. I don't understand the dynamic of them being present, but according to her, they were in court just standing there. It was 2 of them. Yeah.
2 representatives from the tribe?
Mm-hmm. It was 2 of them standing behind the court appointed attorney. And they told her that they had to be there, but they can't talk until she loses the case. But yet they're watching the court appointed attorney destroy her. That part I didn't understand. She was in
Okay, so
tears.
hold on a second, Miss G. You got me confused. There's too many she's and hers in your thought process.
Well, what do you want me to say? I can't say her name.
No, mom, court appointed attorney. When you're saying she and her, I wasn't referring to. I didn't get who you're referring to.
The mother
Uh-huh.
has a case in San Bernardino.
Right. Who is she being destroyed by?
The court appointed attorney.
Okay. And do the tribe members recognize this problem?
They told her they see it, but they had to be there physically until the case is closed. But the judge allowed them to be there physically while she's still being represented by the court appointed attorney. But the mother told me that was kind of weird, and she didn't understand it. She didn't understand that. And she asked me if I knew anything, if that's how it works. And I said, you should be asking them that, not me, because I don't know what the name of your tribe is. I'm not Indian. I don't know. I really don't. And she said that she tried asking them, and they told her that the judge requested for them to be silent.
Okay. Well, that's odd, right?
Mhm. I
Because
don't know.
when they represent the tribe, I mean, they intervene into a case, and they get to be a party and have an attorney there. Maybe they didn't have an attorney. Maybe they were just members of the tribe and they were just there. Like we were
Um,
talking about earlier, they're supposed to get, I believe, an attorney to argue their position.
it was one attorney and one member of the tribe.
Okay.
And she said that the mother could said that the judge told them to be silent and they can be there, but they cannot get involved until she loses the case. So they're counting on her losing the case and then doing the appeal process. If she wants to appeal it, then they can step in.
Hmm.
But they do not know anything appeal, the tribe
They do not
members.
what?
They don't know any, the tribe members don't know anything about an appeal. Like they don't know how to handle an appeal. It was really weird.
Yeah.
So I wasn't sure. So she asked me if you were doing, three people asked me if you were doing the show today. She was one of them. And she wanted me to ask you that question on the show. If you know
Well,
anything.
I don't mind answering the question. The problem is I'm a little lost in the question. So if she wants to hop on the line with me and you tomorrow morning, let's set it up, ma'am. If you're watching, bottom right hand corner, 888-888-6582. Okay, and it also depends, Miss G, on the stage of the case as well.
Her
So,
TPR is next. It's in January.
oh, then they're way in the case, and the tribe and their representatives should be arguing stuff or
Right?
presenting evidence. Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
I'm just thinking lot common sense, but then I realized that courts don't go by common sense. So
Right. The other thing is, Miss Blackburn, I don't know if you have experienced this, but I tell this to people all the time. Everybody in that courtroom has their own agenda.
mhm,
Everyone.
mhm.
And your tribe or that tribe may have their own agenda, which might be different from the mother's agenda,
Mm-hmm.
right? I was in court this morning, and I was involved in a case where it was clear that one of the attorneys had his own agenda.
Mhm.
And his agenda was to be out of court by noon and back at his office for a couple meetings. And had things progressed as they could have progressed, the judge could have denied a continuance and made everyone go forward, which would have meant everyone would have been there after 1:30. But it didn't coincide with the attorney's agenda about being out of the office. See, he didn't realize that I had heard him talking to someone on the phone saying, well, I'll be there about 12:30 and I can do the meetings at such and such and such a time. And then when this issue came up, and he was all for the continuance, although in my humble opinion, that continuance didn't really benefit his client. So remember, when you go to court, everyone has their own agenda. You don't know what it is, and they don't
But
necessarily share it with you.
I feel like the tribes are getting paid off. I
Hmm,
feel.
I
But me
can't.
personally, the tribes are. I don't know, Cassandra. I don't know if you agree with me or anyone, but I do feel like they're getting paid off.
I don't know. I'm one of those people that I try to take it at face value unless I have some evidence that somebody is being paid off or bribed. You know, a lot of times people tell me, "Oh, it's corrupt, blah blah blah," but they just don't know the rules, right? So anyway, getting back to Ikwa and that the person you spoke to today, if she's watching right now, or if you talk to her afterwards or text her afterwards, set up something that we speak, in the morning. And sometimes, the earlier the better, right? So if I'm up at 7:30, 8 o'clock, be happy to jump on the phone with her.
I'm
All
gonna
right.
tell her 7.
Okay. Um, Miss Blackbird, I want to thank you for joining us this evening and sharing your your story.
Thank you.
If you have any further questions or comments, feel free to call me or call Miss G, and we can
Okay.
talk some more. Have a very interesting case
She
there.
does.
There in South Dakota.
It's
So,
ridiculous, though. I mean, it's ridiculous. I'm so sorry you're going through this, by the way.
all right, thank you again, and please give me a call if you want to talk about it some more. Okay,
Okay.
thank you. All right, folks. We have a few minutes left in the show. Did anybody have any questions or comments this evening?
Um, I do have another question.
Uh-huh.
When the social worker was recorded um, in California, and the mother, she has a ring camera, um, and the recording indicates the social worker telling her when she removed the child on Friday, she will never see her child again. She said, I promise you, you will never get that child back because one of her children died. She had twins. One died during birth. The other one didn't. The other one survived. There was no drugs in the system. I mean, she doesn't do drugs. However, she was having rough um, delivery that they injected her with, I guess, I don't know. They give her something for the pain. I don't know what exactly she mentioned. It was a medical name. I don't know. It was a hard name. It was like 20 letters in there or something. But anyways, she said that that's the only thing that was in there. But the social worker told her that she's the one who killed the baby, and it was because of the drug, and that she put the baby at risk. But if it was drugs, indeed, why didn't the other baby die? So DHS from the hospital got involved, took her baby. Remember, she lost one baby. She has the other one. She's mourning over her baby, and they took the baby, and they took her 3-year-old from school, from daycare, so or preschool, something she said. But she was so hysterical. I was trying to get all the information from her, but the social worker went to the house, told her and her husband, she will never get that baby back. She can hire 10 attorneys. She will never get that baby back. So she wanted to ask me if she can use that recording as evidence because it wasn't done on her phone, but it was done through a ring camera that was in her home. And I really want us to take that case. Really do. Because it's a good case. Well, all the cases are good case, but the social worker was on camera saying that to her. So what's your, what would you say about that?
I don't have enough facts about the video. Was there any warning? Was there any signs? See, one of the things that people don't understand, Miss G, is the law is not black and white. It's all gray. And whether it's admissible or not will depend on about a lot of facts and about the camera and, itself. The other thing that's going to depend upon is if the mother can fit that argument about one of the exceptions, argue that one of the exceptions apply and their recording should be admissible. Here's one of the exceptions that apply. if you're illegally recorded doing something or admitting to some type of felony, all right, there's an exception. It can be used against you. So maybe what this lady is doing is some type of felony, right?
What? Are you talking about what lady? Are you talking about the social worker, or are you talking about the mother?
Social worker.
The social work, they're all felony. All of them. But that's not the point. The point is she was recorded threatening the mother who lost a baby.
Okay, I think it went over your head.
It
The
did
point
everything goes over my head.
the point I'm making is there is an exception to the rule that the tape recording can be used or cannot be used. And one of the exceptions is if the person being recorded is committing a crime. Okay.
Mm.
All right. So if the social worker said something that was criminal, right? Like, you're never going to get your child back
Mm.
because blah, blah, blah. Well, you and I both know that that's not true. And that's some type of idle threat.
Mm.
Right. So maybe you can argue that there is a case to place this piece of evidence before the court because it was a criminal act. You know, did the lady have a sign that her house is being video monitored, at the front door or in the front window?
Yes. Yes, on the window.
Okay.
On the window. She had a sticker, kind of like, the professional ones. It says this house is 24-hour surveillance.
Well, in that case, that leads even a stronger argument
Mm-hmm.
that the piece of recording should come into evidence. If I were her attorney, I would try to use it, and I would even try to play it because I think
Okay.
there's an exception.
The reason I'm asking you this is because she hired an attorney that day. She hired an attorney, and
Mm-hmm.
he's in Wilshire. And he told her he cannot use that. So I asked her, I said, is he a CPS attorney or is he a family law attorney? She said he's family law. She gave me the name of the attorney. You know who he is. I can't mention his name, but he's not a CPS attorney. He's a family law attorney. In fact, I believe he's the same guy that you met in court one time. On a case.
I meet a lot of people.
I know, but I was with you that time. But it was May 26th. I think it was the same guy you introduced me to. It was a hearing that you had from one of our clients, and I was with you in court, May 26th of this year.
I vaguely remember that.
And he was talking to you for quite some time.
Do me a favor, in the private chat, type his name.
I have to look in my phone and get you his name. I don't remember if
But I do recall on that day running into a couple guys that I hadn't seen in a long time.
Yeah.
I just can't remember who they were.
Right.
But anyway, so,
but he told her he cannot use it in the state court. She cannot use it. So when she called me, he gave her, okay, so she hired him. He told her, I will give you the retainer for the portion he hasn't used or something that he used, something like that. And then she said that he told her to contact you and that you and him communicate, you know each other. And I'm like, okay, it has to be that guy. And that recently he spoke to you in court. Recently he met you again in court, or he saw you in court. There was 2 attorneys when I was with you. It has to be one of them. There was a guy there for a case. I think that was him, if you recall.
I mean, I vaguely recall, running into a couple.
He told her he saw you in court on May 26th was the only time I was with you for that hearing that you and I were in.
I mean, I've already told you I vaguely remember it. I just don't clearly remember it. If you tell me the name, type the name in the private chat,
Mm-hmm.
I will say, oh yeah, I remember that.
Okay. I'll just text you the name.
Okay. So, whether it can be used or not, it's not a black or white answer. You know, so
But
especially
David, we can use it, right? I mean, if I was
I
an
s- I
attorney,
s-
you
I
better believe I'm
said
gonna
I
fucking use
said
it.
I said I would try to get it introduced into evidence. It's not a slam dunk.
She needs to be fired.
Who
The
needs to be
social
fired?
worker should be fired for this. This is a
That's a that's
threat.
a that's a whole different story. That's a whole different discussion. What we have to focus now is getting the child back to her.
Right, that too. Of course. That's number one.
Miss Woodard, why are you
You're
laughing?
funny. You're funny, Miss G.
Shut up, Cassandra.
Because
I
it's
still love
funny. You
you.
act like they get. How many times have we said, do they get fired? No.
But she should. What I'm saying is, I understand that. But this is on recording.
Okay, I get it.
I personally think she should be fired. So
I
let's
get
do
it.
it. Let's take on this case and fire her and get the baby back. I'm not joking.
What do you
And I
think
want to
about
be
that,
with you in court.
Miss Cassandra? What do you think about that? She's not joking.
Cassandra, go ahead
She's
and tell
never
him when I
joking.
say I'm not joking,
She's always
what I
serious.
really mean by that.
She's
I'm
not
always
joking.
serious. I take my job so serious.
She's
It's
always
ridiculous. Yep, I do. I take my job very
Oh yes,
serious.
it's very ridiculous.
Yeah, everything has
Miss
to be
G.
by the book, and I get really
Serious.
angry. Thank you. That's right.
By Miss
All right.
G's book, not anybody else's book.
All right, folks, we've run out of time for tonight.
Not even Davis's book.
We will be on tomorrow at 7 p.m. as usual. Hopefully, Miss G by that time will have regained her composure.
Guess what?
It's actually really good to see both of you laughing. I haven't seen both of you laughing in a long time.
Because Cassandra knows. She
Forget the fact that it's at my expense. We'll overlook that.
knows.
All right, folks. Good night. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Get your questions ready so you can post them in the box. Oh, Miss Cassandra, I wanted to tell you something. I'm going to set up this show so that it can be a call-in show through something called Blog Talk Radio. So we'll do the show, but people will be able to call in on an 800 number, and we can take their call right there on the show. We won't be able to see them, but we will be able to hear their questions and talk to them on the phone while we're doing the live stream. How does that sound?
Well, how come I never knew about this? And I literally
Oh,
talk all day long with you. Why didn't you tell me this?
Well, it
I
predates
found
you
out
by
about
about
it too.
it predates you like about 6 or 7 years. I can't remember everything to tell you. Jesus Christ.
That's not acceptable, Davis.
I just
Jesus.
found out right now
That is
too.
not acceptable.
All right. Folks, good night, and we'll see you tomorrow at 7 p.m. Bye-bye.